We're going to start out today with item number 1, MLK Memorial Wall refurbishment, and we have Tinu and Pena here to present. Tinu?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone, commissioners. My name is Tinu and Pena. I'm the project manager for the refurbishment of the MLK Memorial Wall, and I'm just going to take you through the process we've undergone to put together the renderings that will showcase what we're trying to do to the wall to make it function properly. Currently, the wall is located in Curry Park, right between Piccadilly and Butler Street. Just a brief history about the wall in itself. The MLK Coordinating Committee was formed in 1981. The committee was led by Edith Bush, who worked with the commission to secure a location for this wall. This wall was designed in 1990 and eventually was completed in 2004. As of to date, there has been no major improvements to the wall in the last 15 years. The scope and objective of this refurbishment was basically to preserve the reflective space for those visiting the wall in a safe and secure manner. We were to restore the cascading water feature, improve the facade by replacing the deficient granite panels, update the letterings on the wall, secure the space behind the wall. There's a shorter wall behind the actual memorial wall itself that has some engravings on there, which we're going to be relocating, improve lighting in around the memorial wall, and install security cameras in the future. Stakeholder engagement that we undertook, we met with Parks and Rec staff to get their input and some history behind the wall. We met with the Art and Public Place staff to also get their input. We coordinated with the MLK Coordinating Committee. We had a meeting with them to go over the deficiency and what we were proposing. And then we have another meeting scheduled to be held either this week or next week with the Westerfield Neighborhood Association. Just a brief summary of the existing condition. As I mentioned earlier, the water feature is inoperable. We do have localized water intrusion on the granite wall itself. There's some missing granite a missing granite end cap on the surface of where we have the pavers. We have calcium buildup stained from the water that's coming from the water feature. There's poor lighting in around the wall itself. The visibility due to the short wall and looking at the observation deck is blocked. We have basically some missing electrical component, poor visibility at night. The letterings in itself are tarnished, and we have some eroded grout lines that we need to reseal and grout to make sure the water, the surface stays tight. So the improvement concept that we undertook with the wall facade is basically to repair the existing plumbing system by replacing it with new piping and cleanouts. This will allow us to flush out the system so we don't have buildups that will make the water feature be more localized when it cascades over the wall. We do look to install a new pump as well as put a grate over the gutter that covers the fountain gutter so that we don't have debris buildup in there. We're going to replace all the missing granite and cracked granite, seal the surface. And also, one of the things we're looking to do is to ensure as people come to visit the wall, we're going to be installing a historic information plaque that tells about the history of the wall as well as why we have so many flags. In regards to the short wall behind the wall itself that we're demolishing, we're going to be relocating the quotes to the front of the wall, and I'll show you that in the rendering. And one of the things, like I mentioned in the beginning, is that we want to make sure the site is safe and secure, so we have a proposed plan to improve the lighting around the wall as well as install security lights and additional light poles in the future. So this is basically the front view of the facade. The difference between this and the existing wall in itself, the letterings are tightly placed behind the bust in itself, so it's really hard to see Dr. King's name. So we're going to spread that out. We're keeping consistent with the color palette, keeping the black granite as well as the brass letter, but we're going to make sure they're spaced out, and these are brass letters that we can maintain. This is a plan view of the memorial wall. As you can see, there's the paver area, which is in the burgundy color, the grass area. The two little dots are the strategically placed light poles that we're proposing. If you can look closely, you see these little white dots in around the curved area. That's where we look to place some in-ground lighting. Behind the wall in itself, it shows that we removed the wall. And then we have the future lights in these circles placed in the planter and in around the grass area. The proposed location for the historic information plaque is to the left and the right of the monument. This is just a 2D 3D type of rendering, kind of gives you a 3D view of what we're proposing. As you can see, what I mentioned with the light poles and the in-ground lighting and the removal of the back wall. This is also another perspective view, just to give you an idea of how it will come out.
Tinu, what's the wall behind the sign that says Martin Luther King? So is that a wall, or is that just a...
We're going to be putting a picket fencing similar to what's currently on the observation deck.
Okay.
Oh, and then if you look to the bottom of, I'm going to go back real quick. If you look, if you focus on the bus, right below the bus, if you look at the landmark memorial writing, there's a kind of grayish looking section there. That is where we're going to be relocating all the quotes that we're removing from the back of the wall, so that when people come up, they can actually read the quotes, and the whole premise is to eventually navigate them around the wall to walk around the whole thing. And so that's basically it. I'll take questions.
Okay, questions? Commissioner James?
Thank you. Where is the budget for maintenance of this in the future? Is that Parks and Rec?
That is Parks and Recs.
All right, and so can we make sure that that gets done?
Part of what the consultant is going to be providing us is a maintenance manual that I will be handing over to Parks and Recs, Todd, so that they can use for future maintenance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you. And to follow up on that, so this is going to come before us as both approve construction and implementation strategy for this. When is this coming forward?
It's coming, Face of the City is on the 11th.
Okay, so how much do we have budgeted for the construction and completion, and where are those funds coming from?
The fund was initially allocated through the 329 funding. However, we've had to shift funding from that. It's going to be coming out of 304. Originally, it was budgeted to
So those numbers don't mean anything to us.
Oh, I'm sorry. The 329 fund is the $40 million bond funding, and then the 304 fund is the capital improvement fund.
So it's a beautiful presentation, and thank you for doing that. The question about maintenance, I think, is really, really critical because of the 2004. It was 1990 when the original design was considered, and then 2004 when it was actually constructed. And now we're 18 years later, and we basically are redoing the entire monument with all of the different work that's being done. And I'm really, really, really pleased to see it because it's at a beautiful location. It gets a lot of attention. And I want to not only make sure we have maintenance dollars for that, but that we have program dollars that we can, incorporate many different events, especially during Black History Month in February.
Leah, you want to talk about the maintenance?
Sure. Leah Rockwell, Director of Parks and Recreation. Clarification, 2004 is when additional stuff was done to the monument. It was built before 2004 because it was built during when Jeff Koons was on the city commission. So that was before 2004.
Long time ago.
Yes. So so we did some other amenities to the monument in 2004. So as far as the maintenance, the way that the fountain feature was designed was not designed to allow for easy maintenance, and the new design is going to allow for clean-outs, which will lengthen the time that this feature will be operational. And our plan is for it to last another 20 years at least with our upkeep and maintenance. As far as the programming goes, the MLK committee, they do a lot of programming at the fountain, and we'll continue to support them we bring them their
Yeah.
benches and their tables and their chairs and everything that they need
And
for
the
their
Urban
events.
League does programming there as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Great. Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you, Mayor. And I just had a question about the MLK committee and the stakeholder engagement. You mentioned that we engaged those, you listed 4 different groups. How was the feedback, and did they feel like everything that they brought up was discussed?
They were very receptive to the proposed, we actually had 2 options. The option they went with is what I presented to you today. They were very open, and we were able to kind of walk through the process of what we were looking at and what they wanted, and then that's what we came up with, what I presented to you today.
Commissioner Neering?
Thanks, Mayor. Sorry if you mentioned this already, the time frame for completion?
Currently, we are in design right now. We anticipate completing design by April, late April. I will go to procurement to look for a contractor between April and June. So we'll look to start construction around June, July, depending on how soon we can get someone on board.
So fall, maybe by the season is when we
Fall,
think
by the
it'll
end of
be.
the year, it should be completed. October is what we're looking at to complete this.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Tinu? Thank you. Very well
you.
done.